Hey everyone, Ronan here, and welcome back to the channel. We got a lot to cover in today's part, but before we get into that, Matthew Brown, thank you very much for your support over on Patreon. And as always guys, please check out these numbers right here, and make sure to drop a like and a comment to help fuel the algorithm. And if this is your first time here, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so that way you'll never miss another upload from the channel. And if you want to support us further, please consider becoming a channel member or a patron so that way you'll get access to exclusive content and early access to the videos I post on YouTube. All the links for that are in the description and on the channel as well. But with all that being said, let's get into What If Jessi and James Challenge the Sinnoh League Part 7. I hope you enjoy. We begin today's episode with James as he has finally arrived at the site of his destination in Jubilife City. The man has been traveling for about a week now, as he has been in quite the hurry to try and get to the oversized city as it's the largest one in the entire Sinnoh region. Though it's been years for James, the city seems just as mass and grand as it was when he was a kid. Though the one thing about the man has never changed. As he walks into the city, he sees trash littering the streets, but there is one thing that catches his eye, as the shine from a stray bottle cap laying on the sidewalk gleams in the afternoon Sinnoh sun. Excited, James bends down to pick it up. However, the man is struck with fond memories of when he was with Jessi and Meowth. The bottle cap brings back all of the memories of all of the razzing that they gave him about his bottle cap collection. This brings a tear to the man's eye as he begins to think about the tortures that his friends must be going through. However, this only steels his resolve, as he knows that he needs to get them back. Now, with a new vigor in his step, James decides that it's time to head to the Pokemon Center. It's going to be the most likely of places for him to get any information that he may be able to find about the seedy underbelly of Sinnoh's less than desirable citizens. However, once he arrives at the Pokemon Center, James is going to be met with a sight that he didn't think he would ever see again, as a very familiar boy and his Pikachu are at the front desk talking to Nurse Joy. Accompanying him is the other boy. What was his name? The gym leader of Pewter City. Brock. Yeah, that's right. And with them is a new twerp, a girl that James has never seen before. While the purple-haired man finds it odd that he would run into Ash here in Sinnoh, the fact of the matter is he doesn't want to draw any attention to himself. However, that's going to be something that he's not going to be easily able to avoid, as all of the encounters that he had with Ash in the past, considering that James can't mask the scent that the electric mouse is familiar with. This immediately gets Pikachu to point him out among the crowd, causing Ash and his friends to turn around only to look at James. At first, the purple-haired man freezes, as he feels like he's been caught, but then again, he realizes that there's nothing to be afraid of. He didn't do anything. He was just standing here in the Pokemon Center, waiting for a chance to turn in his Pokemon. While at first, Ash doesn't recognize James, it quickly turns around when Brock points out the former Team Rocket member, or as far as he knows, the former Team Rocket member, cause the last time that they had any real engagement with James was when they were at the Hoenn League Finals. This immediately gets Ash to begin to questioning James on if he's here challenging the Sinnoh League again, just like he did back in Hoenn. However, James states that he's not. He's actually because he wanted to challenge the Grand Festival, so he's been taking part in contests, as he flashes the ribbon that he got in Floraroma Town, though they can't help but notice that he also has one of the gym badges of the Sinnoh region, to which James states that he got it when they arrived in Sunnysore City, but he didn't really have to battle for it. The gym was just kind of giving him out. This is kind of odd to Ash and Brock, however, they don't really comment on this, as Dawn, their newest traveling companion, introduces herself to James. Considering that he has a contest ribbon, the girl is enamored by him, wanting to know if he's got any tips for her, considering she aims to be a top coordinator just like her mother was. James is a bit thrown off by this, as he's never really been a one-on-one conversation to where a person is asking him for advice on contests or anything for that matter. This causes him to freeze up, as he states he doesn't really know what he could tell her, as he's only ever competed in 2 contests since he's been in Sinnoh, and he didn't get a chance to complete the first one. This causes Dawn to get a little bit sad, as she was hoping to get his feedback on her routine that she's going to use in the Jubilife contest. This immediately catches James' attention. He didn't know that there was a contest here in Jubilife, as his initial purpose for coming here was to get information on people. The purple-haired man begins to stutter a little bit, as he comments that he didn't know there was a contest here, but since there is one, maybe he would enter as well. This immediately gets Dawn excited, as she hasn't really gained any contest friends. While Ash, Pikachu, Pikachu and Brock all just look on in pure amazement. This man spent years hunting Pikachu, and now they're just having a casual conversation like nothing is going on. It's really an odd feeling. However, the whole experience with James and Dawn is going to be interrupted when one of Dawn's oldest friends that she hadn't seen in a long time makes her presence known in a coordinator named Zoe. She is here to compete in the Jubilife contest as well, and this immediately gets Dawn's attention off of James and on to her other friend. This allows the purple-haired man to kind of say his goodbyes to Ash and Brock before slinking away, as there are other things that he needs to tend to. But as James steps away, this is when he overhears one last bit of information about the Jubilife contest. It's in 3 days' time, which leaves the purple-haired man with little options. He was going to use this time to try and figure out anything he could on any information concerning Jessi and Meowth. After all, if he waits, anyone that may have it may be gone before he gets a chance to find them. And the fact is, since the last contest, he hasn't really had any time to practice any new rhythms or styles. However, he did win the Floraroma contest, and he was on track to winning the Eterna contest. So the way James sees it is he should be a shoo-in to get into the top. And once he does, he'll just use his Pokemon and his natural battling instinct when it comes to contests to work his way through the battle rounds and secure another ribbon. After all, he has demonstrated quite the unique knack for this type of thing. So with this line of logic in the man's head, he decides to take the next 3 days to scour the city trying to find any information on anything about Jessi or Meowth. But unfortunately, those 3 days come and go rather quick, and the purple-haired man doesn't see nor hide nor hair of anyone that can provide anything of use to him, and he's beginning to lose hope. That is, on the eve before the contest, James is walking around the outskirts of the city looking at the sunset as it caresses the tip of Mount Coronet. The man comments to himself about how cold Sinnoh is, and he remembers a time in his youth when he was in a spot not too far from here, doing the same thing that he is now. Those times were much happier before his parents tried to force him into a relationship that he wanted no part of. And now Jezebel is here in Sinnoh, hunting him. And that's one of the scariest things that the man could even think about, as a shiver runs down his spine. However, as this is going on, a noise is going to catch his attention. It's a scream. This forces James to kick into action as he goes running towards the northern gates of the city. It's not long before he finds out what the source of it is. There's a trainer that is being attacked by a group of people that are dressed very similar to how Meowth had described. This immediately gets James's attention, as this could be the lead that he's been looking for. Without hesitation, he knows exactly what's going on. It's a good old-fashioned shakedown. They're trying to get this trainer for whatever they can. Money, valuables, electronics, even his Pokemon. And it looks like there's far too many for this trainer to fend him off by itself. But luckily for this trainer, James was able to hear his calls for help, and he wastes no time in interjecting himself in a battle with these group of wannabe spacemen, as he sends in both Carnivine and Breloom to take them out. Luckily, the two grass types kind of work in tandem, as their teamwork has been proven to be quite effective, able to take out these lower level street thugs with the combination of their grass and fighting type moves. However, while these Zubat proved to be fairly easy for them to deal with, that's going to change when a girl with red hair steps forward, kind of reminding James of Jessi. However, his brief daydream is interrupted when the girl yells at him, telling James that he needs to stay out of Team Galactic's business. After all, they weren't doing anything besides having a little bit of fun. This gets the purple-haired man to speak up, as he tells her that they were only having fun at the expense of other people, and that's not true fun. How dare you try to do something like that? However, James does have flashbacks of this is the kettle calling the pot black, as it's exactly what he, Meowth, and Jessi used to do, but he can't think about that now, when this redheaded woman, who the grunts have referred to as Commander Mars, sends in a Pokemon that James has never seen before, to which she refers to as Perugly. However, James is feeling rather confident in his battling duo, so he tells both Carnivine and Breloom to engage with her. But unfortunately, this thing proves to be on a whole nother level to the Zubat that they were battling earlier, as it makes quick work of both of the grass types, managing to take them out with little to no effort on its end. This causes James to get a little bit panicked, as he merely blinked before all of his Pokemon were knocked out. Mars steps forward, confident that she's made her point, and James is going to leave them them alone. However, James, even though he is a little bit scared at this point, considering this thing was a monster among Mons, he's still not going to back down, as he feels it's his duty to try and get this man's stuff back. So he decides to lead with his next Pokemon, one that we haven't seen him use here in Sinnoh up until this current point, the normal type Zangoose. This causes Mars to become a little bit uptight with James, as she was really hoping that he would just drop this entire thing and leave. However, if he wants to be made a fool of once again, then she'll do it, and she tells Purugly to engage in another battle, as she thinks this is going to be the same outcome. However, unlike both Carnivine and Breloom, Zangoose proves to be a little bit more resilient in its battle style, as its rough and tough nature provides it just the edge it needs to keep up with the big, fat, ugly cat. However, the cat does have great endurance, forcing both of the normal types into a long, drawn-out battle, resulting in a double tie between the two of them. This immediately irks Mars, as she can't believe this insolent boy would stand up to her like that and cause her precious Purugly to take on harm. This immediately gets her to want to engage in another battle, as she prepares to send out another Pokemon that she has. However, one of the grunts steps forward, urging the commander that they need to go. Master Cyrus has called them back, and if they disobey a direct order from the master, then it could be their heads, if you know what I mean. This causes them to immediately retreat, but not before Mars tells James that the next time that they engage in battle, he better be prepared, because she's going to come at him with everything that she has. Then, in a flash, they're gone, leaving James standing there, completely speechless. However, there is one thing that the man knows. He was right. Here, in Jubilife City, he was able to at least get an understanding of who these people are and find out what they look like. The purple-haired man then turns to help up the trainer, who was lying on the ground, watching as James defend him. But as the trainer gets back to his feet, one of the grunts reappears beside them, dropping a couple of Pokeballs. You guys need to be more careful around here. After all, I may not be here to help out next time. Before the grunt disappears once again, leaving James to wonder exactly who this man is and why he would help them like that if he's a member of their team. But this is something that James isn't going to get the answer to right now, as he needs to get this man back to the Pokemon Center and he needs to get his Pokemon checked out. So urgently they rush together, hoping that Nurse Joy isn't too busy. Luckily, James is able to get his Pokemon in to have them looked at, but unluckily, that Purugly did a number on the 3 Pokemon of his that battled it, especially Zangoose. Even though it seemed like Zangoose was putting up a decent fight, the fact of the matter is that Purugly was a little bit of a higher level than it, and the normal type put everything that it had into even tying with Purugly. This doesn't sit well with Zangoose, as its pride has been hurt a little bit. It's not too fond of the fact that it lost to that fat cat, and it's not something that the normal type is going to forget rather easily. However, this leaves James in an awkward position, as he had a general idea of what he was going to do with the contest in the morning, but it's been thrown out the window now, as 3 of his 5 Pokemon have been hurt, which means he's going to be stuck by using Rotom and Dusclops once again. However, the man has a strange sense of calmness, as this is the same type of strategy he used to win the Floaroma contest, so he's feeling pretty confident that he's going to be able to take home the gold once again. However, for James, this is going to be a hard lesson, as he's going to find out firsthand that he can't continue to ride the same horse to victory, as once he enters the contest and he begins using his displays to wow the crowd with Rotom like he did before, he doesn't get the same type of reaction, and the judges are less than impressed, as Mr. Contest comments that James doesn't seem like he has the same creativity that he had in the last 2 contests. It seems like the man didn't even put any effort into his contest strategy at all this time, which is going to get the judges to turn on him, not even allowing him to get past the demonstration rounds. This is a direct blow to the man's pride, as he is forced to watch as all of these young kids get a chance to battle in the later contest rounds, leading to where Zoe, the one that was talking with Dawn, is able to secure a victory here in Jubilife City. This forces the man to take a long, hard look at himself, as he realizes his careless act cost him in the contest, and it cost him some of his Pokemon as well, as 3 of them are currently sitting back at the Pokemon Center, unable to really do much until they heal up. Wow, I feel just like Jessi, James says to himself. I really handled everything just like she would, rushing in, guns a-blazing, without a plan. The man then returns to the Pokemon Center with his tail tucked between his legs as he enters the room where his 3 Pokemon currently lay. However, there's one of them that isn't asleep, and that's Zangoose, as it's staring out the window with a death glare, awaiting for the day that it gets the chance to rematch that trainer and her Perugly, as this isn't something that it's going to take lying down. Now we swap over to Jessi as she has finally arrived back in the Valley of Windworks after that distressing call from Meowth. However, what she finds isn't a sight that is going to be one that she was expecting. The building that they had set up surveillance on is now surrounded by the Sinnoh police. It also looks like some sort of struggle had taken place, but Jessi is more concerned about Meowth as it's nowhere in sight. This unfortunately means that she's gonna have to do the one thing she doesn't want to do. She's gonna have to interact with the cops down below. So she decides to play the part of the damsel in distress, and she rushes into the police with the picture of Meowth claiming that she was the trainer and she was coming from Orberg City. They had gotten separated. Her and Meowth were on their way to challenge the Eterna Gym. However, Officer Jenny is quick to take charge here, immediately telling the frantic lady to calm down. They need to understand exactly what is going on. This is where Officer Jenny begins to get the whole story from Jessi that she concocted on the way down here from the top of the hill. Officer Jenny says that they did find a Meowth laying among the ruins. They thought it was abandoned by its trainer, and it wasn't too thrilled when they tried to pick it up. It attacked most of them, but eventually collapsed from the wounds that it had. Jenny says that it was so badly injured that they had to take it to Hearthome City, as it was the closest city that had the facilities to treat the kind of wounds that it has. Jessi thanks Jenny, telling her that she will hurry at once to go collect her Pokemon. This is where the police officer offers Jessi a ride, saying that she can get them there much quicker. However, Jessi states that it's no need. She wouldn't want them to separate their resources trying to accommodate her. If Meowth is being looked after, then it's more important that it gets the help that it needs. She will get there as soon as she possibly can. While Jenny finds this kind of odd, as a trainer would normally want to collect their Pokemon and make sure that they're alright, she does realize that Jessi is right, and she's not going to be able to spare much manpower here, considering it's part of the small police department of Floroma Town. So she states that she'll call ahead and let them know that Jessi's coming by. After the redhead parts ways with Officer Jenny, thanking her for all of the help that she offers, she makes her way up the hill to where they had set up their mobile unit and discovers that it has basically been destroyed. It's dead. There's no power running through anything. The only thing Jessi can do is hopes that they can find something on the hard drives, so she withdraws them, putting them in her bag before heading off to Hearthome City. Luckily for Jessi, it doesn't take her that long, as she's able to get a ride for some random passerbys that take her directly into the city and drop her off near the Pokemon Center. In total, it's just about an afternoon that it takes her to get there. Here, she finds Meowth in a cat-shaped body cast, and it's unconscious. Nurse Joy begins to scold the redhead on the carelessness of her for her Pokemon. However, Jessi thinks fast, stating that it was kidnapped by some people, and she had lost track of them around the Valley of the Windworks. She didn't hesitate to come once she had heard about Meowth ending up here in Hearthome City, so she would really appreciate it if Nurse Joy would give her some time to process everything that's going on. After all, her Pokemon being hurt like this is kind of overwhelming, and the redhead begins to shed tears, putting on her best water work to try and get Nurse Joy to leave her alone a little bit. Luckily for Jessi, this seems to work, and she relents, stating it's not the first time they had a report of this. Other trainers have been getting attacked as well, and they've been reporting that it's some sort of strange group that has been causing all of this damage. But luckily for Jessi, there has been a report filed with the Sinnoh PD, and Jessi's among those documents as well. So after Meowth wakes up, they're going to want to get a full statement from the redhead. This immediately causes Jessi to flinch a little bit, as she realizes that the one thing she doesn't want to be is in a database somewhere. So she's going to have to take care of that before Meowth wakes up and before Sinnoh PD gets here to start taking names. Luckily for Jessi though, they're going to be more fixated on the Valley of the Windworks, trying to gather as much evidence as they possibly can before it succumbs to the harsh environment of Sinnoh. So this leaves the girl to just kind of sit and get to know the Pokemon Center. This is where she overhears some trainers and coordinators talking about the Hearthome contest and how the gym leader of the city is going to be the head of it. After this, she's going to be leaving though, to which immediately catches Jessi's attention as they mention that the gym will be closed indefinitely. This prompts the redhead to make a very selfish decision. Since Sinnoh only has 8 gyms and this one's going to be closed indefinitely and she doesn't know when it's going to be opening back up, she's going to go challenge it and she's going to win her badge here. This gym leader isn't getting out of the city without Jessi securing her 3rd badge of the region. So without warning to Nurse Joy or anybody else, she just heads off in a hurry. However, as Jessi's leaving, Nurse Joy spots her, asking where she's going, to which the redhead simply yells as she runs out the door that she can't wait to file that report. She's going to head to the police station now and requests that Nurse Joy look after Meowth until she gets back, before disappearing off into the distance. This immediately strikes Nurse Joy as odd, considering the police just called and said that they're on their way. But it's here that we follow up immediately with Jessi, as she's been running through the streets, frantically trying to find this gym. But unfortunately, she ends up finding the Hearthome contest hall before she finds the gym itself. And after some moping around, considering that she hasn't been able to make any progress and nobody was willing to help her, she decides that she may want to pack it in for the day, considering that the gym leader may have already left, as it's been a couple of hours since that conversation she overheard. But this is where she meets a small crowd in front of the Hearthome contest hall that is gathered around a woman that is dressed very elegantly in a purple dress. Jessi immediately rushes the situation, as she has a hunch to who this may be. Luckily for her, that hunch was right, as she is introduced the leader of the Hearthome gym, Fantina. She's immediately being barraged by a bunch of her fans as they ask if the gym leader is going to be back sometime soon. However, Fantina states that she wants to grow stronger as a gym leader, so that is the reason why she is leaving Hearthome City for the time being. The gym will be closed, but she will be back one day. However, she feels like the only way she can become stronger is if she goes on the road, like a lot of her gym opponents, so that way she can learn new battle styles and hopefully come back and be the trainer that the Hearthome City gym deserves. This immediately gets the small crowd to begin to cheer for the former contest champion. However, this prompts Jessi to immediately butt in, demanding that Fantina give her a gym battle before she leaves. After all, this could be her last chance to defend the gym, and Jessi doesn't want to miss out on this. Fantina is a bit surprised by this redhead, as she had officially closed the gym earlier in the day, but there's something about this woman, her eagerness or her fieriness, that strikes Fantina as odd. Okay, I'll take your challenge, the gym leader says. Meet me at the gym in 30 minutes, and we'll get this underway. Jessi gets overexcited as the rest of the group spreads out across the city, telling everyone that Fantina is going to have one last gym battle before she heads out on her journey. 30 minutes later, Jessi finds herself in front of the gym, but unfortunately, she's not alone, as an even bigger crowd than the one that had been outside of the Hearthome contest hall has begun to form. This immediately causes Jessi to get nervous, because she thinks that they're all going to be here to watch the gym battle. Luckily for her though, Fantina seems to show a hint of modesty and honor for her opponents, stating everyone's gonna have to wait outside, as this gym battle will be a one-on-one private event, and no one will get the chance to make her gym challenger uncomfortable, before she invites Jessi inside, telling the redhead that she would like to get started. Once they're inside behind closed doors, Jessi comments that Fantina's actions are kind of puzzling to her. As a former coordinator and master contest winner, why would she want to have her opponent not be in front of a crowd? To which the gym leader merely laughs, as she states that the sight of a contest is not what you signed up for when you challenged the gyms. It was to battle the gym leader, which, while I will use my experience in contests to battle you, that doesn't mean that the entire setting needs to be in a contest type of setting. So I respect my challengers as much as I possibly can by making sure that they're in the type of environment that puts them at ease. And most of the time, the spotlight is not that. It's here that Jessi has something that's dawned on her that never has before. Actual respect for her opponent. This is something that is foreign to the redhead, as she's never had to do that, being a member of Team Rocket and all. And now that she thinks about it, every gym that she's ever challenged between the likes of Hoenn and now Sinnoh, well, they've all shown her some sort of level of respect. Even when she had to face Watson all those different times in the Hoenn region, the old man just kept encouraging her to come back. The old man knew that she would eventually win no matter how many times she continued to lose. At this moment, we see something that is very rare of the redhead. Jessi actually stops right before they take their position on the battlefield and thanks Fantina for the consideration to her feelings. Her whole life, it's not something that people have actually done for her, and as a result, it's forced her to grow a rough and tough exterior, and forced her to be more outwards violent and pushy to get her way. However, Fantina respected her before she even knew Jessi. This gets the gym leader to giggle once more, as she compliments Jessi because she knew that she was a tough spirit, but at the same time, there's something inside of her that Jessi is still trying to discover. However, whatever that is, Jessi still might not know. It's up to Fantina to help her discover her own beauty, no matter which way it is, whether in the setting of a contest or the setting of a gym battle. Fantina then pulls out a Pokeball, asking the redhead if she's ready to get started, to which Jessi happily acknowledges, nodding her head before pulling out a Pokeball, telling the gym leader that she's going to give her the best possible fight that she can. That's what I like to hear, Fantina says. Now please, take your side of the battlefield. It'll be just me and you today, as I have sent the gym attendant home, and they won't be back for a couple of weeks. Actual enthusiasm for her gym battle in her step, Jessi rushes to her side of the field, as Fantina stares her down, informing her that this is going to be a 3-on-3 battle, and only Jessi will be allowed substitutions. The battle will be over when one side is out of all Pokemon. So, if she is ready, without further ado, Fantina presents her first Pokemon, as she sends in a sporadic jumping little lightning bolt that appears to hover above the field. Jessi's Pokedex identifies this as a Pokemon known as Rotom. It appears to be a ghost electric type, which is just great for Jessi, because that doesn't mean she knows exactly what this woman specializes in. It could be ghosts or electricity. However, this isn't going to deter Jessi, as she feels like she wants to get a feeling for what this Pokemon can do. So she decides to play the type advantage here, as she declares, "Numel, your time to battle." The sleepy little camel pops from a Pokeball with a brief yawn before gazing on to everybody. Jessi explains that they're in the middle of a gym battle, so she's going to need it to be as proactive as possible. However, Numel just lets out another yawn as it stares across the battlefield at his opponent, as it appears to be having some sort of seizure, darting around the battlefield with enthusiasm, as Fantina just laughs, declaring that she's going to take the first move, and she orders Rotom to use a move called Light Screen. Jessi, while not familiar with this move too well, does know a general idea of what it is, so she tries to counteract by ordering a Lava Plume from Numel, to which the fire type is happy to execute. However, the execution is rather slow and rather underpowered, as Numel attempts to heat itself up before spewing a little bit of lava throughout the battlefield. However, Rotom's sporadic movement is far too much for it to be hidden by this lackluster move, as Numel just simply lets out another yawn before staring back at Jessi, almost as if it was looking for some sort of appreciation for executing the move that she had just asked it to do. However, Jessi begins to show what she's truly like, as she gets a wee bit frustrated with the camel, telling it that it's going to have to do better than that. However, Fantina is on the attack once again, as she orders Rotom in with a move called a Signal Beam. Now, while this isn't super effective considering it's going to be hitting a fire type and this is a bug type move, it is enough to cause some decent amount of damage considering that Numel hasn't really done anything to try and defend itself. Really, the only thing that saves it from being knocked out is the fact that it's got a type advantage and it seems to have a thick enough hide. However, this attack seems to spark a little bit of fire within the fire type itself, as suddenly, without warning, Numel, without the order of Jessi, gives another Lava Plume in the direction of Rotom that's nearly at point blank range. This attack is actually nearly full power, as for whatever reason, the fire ground type seemed to have found its enthusiasm. The only thing in this instant that saves Rotom from being knocked out is the fact that Fantina decided to lead with a Light Screen, which gives Rotom enough time to put some distance between it and the attack, though it didn't get away without being a little singed from the explosion. However, this action is followed by a loud cry from Numel as it begins to snort soot from its nostrils, staring down Rotom, to which surprises Jessi. She's never seen this type of behavior from it before. However, this entire action has her a bit uneased, as Numel's never really demonstrated this type of behavior. It's got her thinking that maybe she should recall it to give it some time to cool down, as the truth be told, she's never really had a chance to fully battle with it. So she decides to recall the fire type for the time being. However, it seems that Numel has no objection to this, merely waiting its turn to get back in the battle. This surprises Fantina, as she was a bit concerned that she was going to lose this, but the fact that Jessi may have given up a sure win has her interested, so she patiently awaits the redhead's next decision. However, she won't have to wait long, as she declares, "Sophia, your time to battle." The bouncing ice type emerges from its Pokeball, ready to engage in the next type of battle. While Jessi knows that it's at a disadvantage when it comes to typing, the fact of the matter is she doesn't feel confident in using X-Plot here, as While it does have crunch, the fact that she's using ghost types mean that it could be a little bit hard for it to get a hold of anything, and the fact that it may not want to listen to her is also another determining factor. So she decided to go with her ice type over it and Credilli, considering she doesn't think Credilli has what it takes to actually be able to take anything down. So with Fantina interested in Jessi's second selection, the battle immediately gets underway, with Jessi wasting no time calling for an Aurora Beam. However, Fantina is quick to counter this by calling for a move that she can finally use here, which is called Shockwave. Jessi is all too familiar with this from her battle with Watson in the Hoenn region, and she tells Sfeel to do its best to bounce and roll out of the way, but unfortunately, Shockwave is a guaranteed hit when it comes to Rotom, as its sporadic movement around the battlefield makes it near impossible for Sfeel to get away, and it is struck with the electric type attack. However, the bouncing did allow Sfeel to do one thing, and that's charge the Aurora Beam, so that way it could strike Rotom back as the two connect with each other. This finds them both in a very interesting turn of events, as the power of the ice and electricity cause a brief explosion to erupt, clouding the entire battlefield and rocking the gym a little bit, preventing any sight from either one of the trainers. All the while, outside, the fans are looking on as they can feel the trembles in the ground, all groaning because they know that this is a good battle, but they're not going to get a chance to see it. Back inside, Jessi is calling to Sfeel, hoping that it's okay, but unfortunately, as Fantina calls for Rotom, one thing is going to be revealed. As the dust settles, both Pokemon lay in the middle of the ground with spirals in its eyes. It seems that the damage that Rotom took from the lava plume, combined with the explosion that engulfed both it and Sfeel, was too much for either one of them to take, and they both knocked each other out, unwittingly of course. This forces both of the girls to recall their Pokemon, a bit shocked about the turn of events, so to speak. However, while Jessi is a little bit surprised by this, Fantina is excited as she compliments Jessi, stating this is the reason why she wants to travel Sinnoh again, so that way she can become a better trainer and learn new tactics. Jessi is a prime example of that. Her getting her to go around is giving her the ability to become the type of trainer she never would have been by staying in one place or holding herself down to a specific area in life. This once again rings with Jessi. That's exactly what she's doing, being part of Team Rocket. However, she's not going to have time to think about this now, as Fantina immediately sends in her next Pokemon, enthusiastic about what's to come, as she declares Drifloon. What pops from a ball is a little purple Pokemon that Jessi's Pokedex identifies as Drifloon, a ghost flying type. It's here that Jessi is fully confident in that Fantina is a ghost type trainer, to which the gym leader confirms, chuckling a little bit, as Jessi never actually asked her what type of Pokemon she used, but the gym leader tells her she would have gladly explained it if Jessi would have asked. However, Jessi admits that she'd rather find out in the heat of the moment. The thrill of a Pokemon battle, not knowing what to expect, is what excites her. That's why she's taking the Sinnoh Gym Challenge, so that way she could become a better trainer as well, and learn all new battle styles and Pokemon that she'd never seen coming. It's in this moment that both of the women feel like they're kindred spirits in the same cause. Fantina is really enjoying the company of Jessi and the battling of her Pokemon, while likewise the Rocket Redhead is as well, which is something that not even James or Meowth have ever made her feel. However, this is a gym battle, and Jessi's gonna have to choose her next Pokemon. Now that she knows that this is a ghost type trainer, she feels like her next choice is gonna be an obvious one, as she declares, Yanma, your time to battle. The bug type pops from its ball with a sonic burst, rattling the windows within the gym, signaling that it's excited to finally get a chance to move around and flap its wings. So, a bug type. How interesting to choose that against something that has flying type attributes. Well, I look forward to seeing what you can do, Fantina says, as she decides to try and take the first move, ordering Drifloon to use a hypnosis. However, Jessi isn't going to fall for this, as she quickly commands for Yanma to use a sonic boom that, while it will not affect the ghost type directly, it does have the power to counteract the hypnosis, as they are both sound-based moves. This puts Fantina in a very precarious predicament. Jessi has what looks like to be a perfect counter, as the ability of Yanma kicks in with its speed boost activating. Well then, things are beginning to get even more interesting than I had anticipated, the gym leader thinks to herself. Well then, Drifloon, use minimize. Suddenly, the ghost balloon begins to shrink as Jessi commands for a pursuit. While this is a super effective move and is successful in hitting Drifloon, the fact of the matter is, because it was in the process of shrinking, the ghost type took half the damage that it normally would, only able to make the connection because of its new increased speed. However, because this was another set of battles that had come to an end, Yanma's speed boost once again activates, causing another supersonic burst to happen as its wings beat louder and faster. Fantina begins to comment to Jessi that whether by accident or by design, her choice of Yanma was actually probably the best one she could have made against her Drifloon. However, she's not going to go down without a fight, as she orders the Ghost type to use an Ominous Wind in order to cause some sort of panic with the Bug type. However, Yanma is not going to take this sitting down, as Jessi decides to use the new power that is found in its speed boost to her advantage, ordering it to use a wing attack. Suddenly, the increased speed and power of its wings begin to beat rapidly as they glow in a destructive aura before Yanma speeds down the battlefield and connects with Drifloon. Now, while this is a neutral attack, considering they both have flying type, this does have a repercussion, as the Ominous Wind is forced to hit both of them at the same time, causing super effective damage to Drifloon, while Yanma is actually going to take the first damage of this battle. This puts the balloon in a very precarious position, as it is finding itself having trouble levitating, but it's not going to give up, as it's one of Fantina's first Pokemon and it refuses to let its trainer down. While on the other hand, Yanma is seemingly enjoying itself in this battle. It likes the fact that it can actually spread its wings and get a chance to use them to its full force. In this moment, both trainers stare each other down, as their Pokemon do. Then, without warning, both Drifloon and Yanma begin to glow in an evolutionary light. Before both trainers' eyes, they watch as their two Pokemon begin to change and evolve into their second and final stages, as Drifblim and Yanmega emerges from the light. This leaves both of the women in awe and shock, and this is something that they've never really ever seen happen before. Two Pokemon evolving at the same time, and considering that Jessi's only had Yanma for a couple of weeks, while Fantina has had Drifblim for most of her life, this truly is a once-in-a-lifetime occurrence. Both of the girls are super excited, as they decide that they want to make this an all-out battle. They begin to give their next command, as Fantina calls for another gust from Drifblim, while Jessi counters with an immediate wing attack. These two moves are allowed to collide in the middle of the battlefield, as gusts and winds begin to envelop the entire gym. However, there is one thing that comes into play, and it's the fact that Yanmega has now maxed out its speed due to its special ability of Speed Boost. This gives it the power needed to push through the winds and strike at Drifblim with the full force that it has between all of its four wings. And unfortunately for the Ghost type, this sends it into the battlefield below, knocking it out, giving Jessi the first victory of this match that wasn't a draw. As Fantina recalls her Ghost type, she can't believe what she just witnessed. While she's a bit sad that she had lost that second battle, the fact that both of their Pokemon were able to evolve at the same time has her walking on sunshine. Fantina is super thrilled that Jessi was going to be her final opponent of the gym, which means that this final battle needs to be something that the Ghost type specialist can really give a show for, as even though Yanmega had won this battle, Jessi decides that it needs a little bit of a timeout, as it's gotten a little bit too excited about the victory that it just had, and it's popping around the gym almost as sporadically as Rotom had before it, causing brief shockwaves that could end up shattering a window. So she decides to recall the Dragonfly for the time being. Fantina finds herself in a very peculiar position, as it's been a long time since she's been on the losing end of a battle, considering that she only has one Pokemon to Jessi's two. However, this gets the Ghost type trainer excited as she holds the final Pokeball in her hand, while Jessi is holding the Pokemon that she started with in her hand, as they both simultaneously send in their Pokemon. Jessi declares, "Nummel, your time to battle," while Fantina sends out a Pokemon that Jessi has never seen before, in the form of something called a Mismagius, which Jessi's dex reveals to be a Ghost type, but pure Ghost type. Finally, no significant tricks in typing or anything that Jessi thinks to herself. However, she's got to admit this battle has been rather easy, but she's about to find out firsthand that while she may have the advantage now as far as numbers are concerned, Fantina and Mismagius are a team that most people can never overcome. As the battle begins and Jessi decides to start with the Lava Plume. Now, while Nummel isn't as warmed up as it was in the first battle, it's still showing far more enthusiasm than normal, as it is happy to execute a Lava Plume. Now, it's not as powerful as it should be, but it is enough to make a statement, as magma and fire begin to spew from it in all directions across the battlefield in an attempt to hit Mismagius. However, just like Fantina and a contest performer, she immediately shows Jessi why this Pokemon is the one that always seems to carry her to victory, as she orders Mismagius to use a Psy Wave that captures all of the individual shots of magma and begins to levitate it above the head of everyone in the gym. Jessi watches as Mismagius uses the own attack of Jessi and Nummel to their advantage before immediately sending it hurling back at Nummel, preventing any damage damage to itself while using Jessi's own attack against her. It's here that she finally gets to see the contest side of Fantina, as she compliments on Jessi's power of her Pokemon, but the execution is really sloppy. If she wants her Numel to become stronger, then she's going to have to train it to have better control over itself and its attacks. But this is where Jessi begins to smile just a bit, as while they did get hit with their own attack, and that would have been a detrimental case in the contest setting, the fact is this is a gym battle, and being hit with fire is going to have a negative effect for Fantina, as once the smoke clears, Numel reveals that it is finally completely warmed up after being basically supercharged by its own lava plume. This gets the blood and magma within the fire type flowing, as Jessi orders another attack with Numel executing another lava plume. This shoots out far faster and far wider than the previous ones had, causing a bit of pressure to finally build up for Mismagius and Fantina. However, this isn't going to be something that she can't handle, as she immediately commands her ghost type to use a dark pulse, to which it immediately executes, allowing it to once again fend off any true damage from itself, as it puts up sort of a barrier around it with dark rings, causing the lava to kind of just dissipate as it connects with their energy, with brief explosions like landmines going off sporadically throughout the gym. And considering Mismagius is a ghost type, it's allowed to kind of fade in and out, preventing any real damage to itself, while Numel is at the epicenter of where the magma came from, and it doesn't really take anything. However, this creates an opening that Jessi wasn't expecting, as Mismagius is able to free flow its way in order to get to Numel, allowing it to finally hit the ground type with a move called Magical Leaf. While this shouldn't be that effective against something that's part fire, the fact of the matter is it is a move that can't be dodged, and Numel, being at point blank range, is going to be forced to take the brunt of the attack. While this does cause it to slide back across the gym, and it does take a decent amount of damage, it's not enough to take out the fire type, as Jessi thinks that she may have something that could offset this battle a little bit and put it in her favor, finally knocking out Mismagius. However, she's going to have to allow it to get close again, so she orders Numel to use another lava plume, to which the fire type immediately executes with the same amount of power and speed that it did before. But once again, Fantina just uses the same strategy, allowing Mismagius to free flow through everything by using a dark pulse as a counter, and once again getting in the personal space of Numel. But this time, Numel is waiting with a specific move that Jessi is hoping is going to secure the victory for her, as she orders her fire type to use a move called Attract. However, the redhead is going to find out firsthand that this isn't going to work on Mismagius, as unfortunately it and Numel share the same typing, considering they're both females, which means it's going to take another Magical Leaf point blank. But this time, because it was unguarded, as Jessi was hoping to land this move, Numel is knocked out, bringing the battle to a 1v1. Jessi immediately recalls the fire type, contemplating on what happened there. However, Fantina informs her just what was described. She was hoping to secure it with Attract, but both of their Pokemon are females, so Attract was never going to work, leaving Jessi open for Fantina to claim the victory here. This puts the redheaded in a very precarious position, as now they're 1v1, and the fact of the matter is Mismagius hasn't really taken any damage, aside from a little bit of fire from Numel. But Yanmega, on the other hand, well, it's battled pretty heftily, and that's going to mean it's going to have a hard time securing its victory in this battle. However, Jessi isn't going to have any choice, as she's going to have to proceed if she hopes in order to get this gym badge. So she declares, Yanmega, your time to battle. The supersonic dragonfly once again pops from its ball in order to engage in battle, as it is enthusiastic about once again getting a chance to spread its wings and cause a little bit of mayhem. However, there is one thing that Fantina has going in her favor, as all of the speed boosts have worn off, considering Jessi decided to recall it at the height of its power. This is a mistake that the redhead's going to learn firsthand, as she gives the first order for it to use a pursuit. However, Mismagius appears to be faster, as it immediately counters with a shockwave that strikes the bug, leaving Jessi questioning why Yanmega couldn't hit it, to which Fantina once again enlightens the redhead, telling her that its speed boost wore off because she recalled it. She should have just left it in the battle. She might have actually won that last one, to which the redhead immediately begins to facepalm herself, as she didn't realize that its ability would pit her out like that. However, luckily for her, it's going to get one speed boost increase as Yanmega begins to glow before accelerating its wings to a new level. This is exactly what Jessi knows she needs to win. However, now that she's aware that this Mismagius is in possession of the move Shockwave, she's gonna have to do what she she can to prevent Yanmega from getting hit by it, and that's going to be easier said than done considering Shockwave's one of those moves that can't really be dodged, so she's going to have to do her best to create any type of barriers that she can. However, she needs speed boost in order to win this, so she's going to play it a little bit cautiously. However, at first, she didn't have an idea how she was going to do that, until her Pokédex goes off, signaling that Yanmega had learned a new move, something called Ancient Power. It's a Rock-type move, which is exactly what Jessi may need to counteract the effects of an Electric-type move. So when Fantina gives the next order for a Shockwave, she immediately calls for an Ancient Power from Yanmega. This allows the bug to create some stones that act as a barrier, and with its increased speed, it's able to use the stones as a hiding spot, with the Shockwave striking each boulder until it peters out, preventing any damage to the bug type. This allows it to get a secondary speed boost with not really wasting any effort. However, Mismagius is finding itself in a bit of a frustrating position as Jessi has begun to discover the secrets of what it means to actually use her Pokemon's moves to offset her opponents, kind of like a contest to which Fantina is finding interesting. However, they're both still in unison, and Fantina knows exactly how she's going to deal with the rock-type moves, calling for a magical leaf. But Jessi once again tries to rely on the ancient power, but unfortunately the magical leaf is going to be able to easily use its type advantage to cut through the rocks and strike Yanmega for another bit of damage. However, it's not a whole lot, and this is going to allow it to survive, allowing it to maximize its speed once again, getting to its third speed boost. This is exactly what Jessi knows she needs to win, so it's time for them to go on the offensive, as she tells Yanmega to use a pursuit. Quickly, the dragonfly uses its new accelerated wings to speed through the air and almost become invisible to the naked eye, even forcing Mismagius to do a double take before it's struck by the bug at full force with the dark type move. This is for super effective damage, catching even Fantina off guard. However, Mismagius isn't going to go down without a fight, as the ghost type immediately counters at the command of its trainer with a Psy Wave that catches Yanmega in midair, and even though its wings are somewhat supersonic, it's not going to be able to go anywhere if Mismagius maintains this psychic hold on it. This is where Fantina tells Jessi that it's been a nice match, but unfortunately she's going to have to end it, as she orders Mismagius to use another shockwave to bring it to an end. Thinking fast, Jessi knows the only thing she can do is order Yanmega to beat its wings, so use a Sonic Boom. The dragonfly beats its wings as hard as it can, causing a percussion of sound to build up behind it, forcing a sonic boom that propels its body forward, allowing Jessi to call for another pursuit that allows it to slam into Mismagius before the shockwave can strike Yanmega, knocking the ghost type out and giving Jessi the victory, shocking both her and Fantina. As both Yanmega and Mismagius hit the floor, it's a bit questionable if this is another double knockout, but Yanmega quickly stands up and begins to beat its wings once again, though it's unable to fly as it's almost out of energy. Fantina immediately calls the battle, declaring Jessi the winner and presenting her with her third badge of the Sinnoh region, known as the Relic Badge. Jessi can't believe it. She actually won this gym battle. She wasn't expecting to actually be able to beat Fantina, and as the battle went on and got more drawn out, the less hope she was having. However, the ghost-type trainer tells her not to put herself down like that. Jessi is an actual great trainer, and despite not having a full knowledge of all of her Pokemon and what their moves can do, Jessi still demonstrated the ability to adapt in the situation, like using Supersonic as a way to free Yanmega from the hold of Mismagius. That was brilliant, and something that a contest coordinator would actually do, so she shouldn't sell herself short. This immediately gets Jessi to begin to perk up, as for some reason, whatever it is, around Fantina, she feels like she's got that sisterly connection, something she's never really had with another female. Fantina tells Jessi that she's glad that she could have been her final battle for the time being, and it's one that she's going to hold as she begins to travel around the Sinnoh region, challenging other trainers so that way she would become stronger. And she asks Jessi if they can have one more battle someday, to which the redhead happily agrees. This is where Jessi realizes that she forgot all about Meowth, and she tells Fantina she's sorry, but she has to go, before recalling Yanmega and telling the ghost-type trainer that she thanks her for everything that she's done for her, and she will return to the city someday, so that way they can have have a battle, before running off out of the gym and through the crowd, not even giving him a chance to question if she had won, leaving Fantina happy that Jessi was the one opponent that could give her this final battle inside of the Hearthome gym. A little while later, Jessi finds herself walking into the Pokemon Center, excited and high on life at the fact that she had won a new badge. But as she enters the room where Meowth is supposed to be unconscious, looking at her badge, the Scratch Cat can see her through its bandages, and it merely utters one word: selfish, causing Jessi to stop and all of that euphoria to fade away. And this is where we are going to end things for now. So tell me, how did you feel about this part? What did you think about James and his encounter with this mysterious team at the edge of the city of Jubilife, and the fact that Zangoose was the only thing that could take out her Perugly, and his other two Pokemon didn't even stand a chance? Or how about that little bit of growing hubris he's showing, trying to rest on his laurels to win another contest ribbon here in Jubilife? What about Jessi and Meowth? What happened to the Scratch Cat exactly? And how about her going to win the badge at the Hearthome gym? Do you think Jessi was an adequate opponent to Fantina? And how did you feel the gym battle went? How about the gym badge that she won? And was it truly selfish of her to go try and get a gym badge knowing that her friend was laid up in the hospital? Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below.